What's up, everyone? So, I don't have any sort of current events that I was going to talk to. I don't have one of my Facebook memories that I did the other day where I kind of reflected upon what it meant for me or what it means now. But what I did is a self exercise, and it might work for other people. I thought it was interesting just to try. So, what I did is I just grabbed a random piece of, I think it was mail or pamphlet or something, and I chose a word and I'm just going to speak to it. And hopefully, it can spark conversation where people can contribute in the comments and things like that. So, the word that I found was addiction. And addiction, it's a heavy word, and it's associated with a lot of pain. It's a lot of overcoming, though, a lot of success for a lot of people who have managed to persevere through addiction. So when we're talking about that sort of stuff, we're definitely talking about substances, drugs, and alcohol and things like that. And those are the things that we know of. But the ones that we don't really pay attention to, or has become more prevalent in society recently, are the opiates, the painkillers, the things that our doctors and the medical community are saying, like, take these. And I understand that a lot of times we need them, but a lot of times people are becoming victims in the same way that street drugs have created victims. So it's just one of these things to recognize and really monitor ourselves with, whether it's recreational drugs, whether it's prescription, just any of these things, they can really end in tragedy and can really cause a lot of pain. Something else that I would look at is how we eat. Has definitely addictive behaviors, especially when you're talking about your body being, becoming dependent on like the things that are in these foods, sugar, salts, and the effects that it can have when we're talking about diabetes, high blood pressure, and a lot of other problems, health problems that can stem from that. The irony is once you start having those medical problems, you may end up back on prescriptions that are probably better than like the opiates that I mentioned before, but still, we can, if we can avoid these sort of things, having to take these sort of things, then by all means, let's start to again self monitor, a little bit more discipline, and hopefully these are things that we can avoid. These are pitfalls that we can avoid. Addictive behaviors can also stem not just the physical, not just the chemical reactions, but also our mental. So when we're talking about toxic relationships, when we're talking about abusive relationships, and it doesn't always have to mean physical, where violence is at play. We can be talking about just drama, the things that people like to find themselves in or seem to find themselves in and just gravitate towards a certain type of people, circumstance, what have you, you name it, that's usually not good for them. Hopefully, we grow to, get past a lot of these things. Because I know we did this when we were younger, but then a lot of people we see seem to still be stuck in these things. So addictive can certainly be in how we treat others and how we allow ourselves to be treated. Definitely one of these things that we can grow to overcome in a lot of ways. Um, I think it may not be as addictive, but it could just be poor choices. Maybe when we're talking about just things like, well, no, I got to take that back. I got to walk that back because I would say gambling and things like that definitely addictions. And I don't want to shortchange anybody if you're talking about sexual addiction, things like that. They're definitely addictions. I was going to go with things like, just bad choices when it comes to, I don't know, over shoe shopping and things like that. But again, these can be addictions. It's not for me to say, and it's only for us to recognize when somebody is struggling. Now, if you find yourself in these, by all means, I'd say the first thing we got to do is I self-identify. So when I say I'm a sugar addict, I self-identify and understand that, and that's where then we can start to look for help. Once we get past, I don't really want to say the ego, but once we get past the ego of it, then we can start to look for help, and that's where we don't allow pride to make these things secretive and where we have to harbor them, and sometimes we fall back to those addictions because it makes us feel better about hiding it in the first place. It's a mess sometimes. That said, this conversation definitely is open for people who want to share, have experiences, maybe in the in the professional community that helps people, how we can talk about, does the system help us more than it fails in a lot of instances. So guys, it was just an exercise in taking a word and wanting to create a conversation with it. Hopefully this helps. Hopefully it was a word worth introducing and talking to. So I'm going to leave it at that. Have a fantastic day, and I don't know. Hopefully, this doesn't take too much of your addictive social media time. Peace, love, unity, solidarity.